Hi, everybody. It's Thursday again. Can you believe it? So we're back this week and we are going to give thanks. It is the season of thanks with Thanksgiving right around the corner. And I thought we would do cards that give thanks. Now you can create these cards. I'm just moving my lights, so just bear with me a second. You can make these cards and use them, hey, for any occasion, but I decided to do thank you cards. And we're using the Art Gallery stamp set, which has these really awesome two-step flowers, and then this smaller one here for these flowers, and the coordinating dies. Okay. I'm also going to be using one of the frame dies, this one right here, on this card. And this is from the Painted Labels die set. And that went with the Painted Poppies. And I'm also using for this card here, the nice large thank you. Hey Sheila, hi Fran. I'm using the thank you with all my heart from the new framed florets stamp set that was released November 1st. It comes with this. I don't even know if I have them all here. And it also a framed and festive stamp set with just sentiments. And then, of course, matching dies. And that's what I'll be using this month for my Craft Box subscription. So that should be fun. So we just have a layered card. I use the Time Worn Type 3D embossing folder. I stamped the flowers in pumpkin pie and bumblebee and used old olive for the stems. Hi, Jean. Oh, yes, Karen. Well, I'll see you on the other side. Be careful out there. And then on the inside, I just used one of the larger flowers with the stem. For this card, again, all I did was a pumpkin pie layer with the Time Worn Type. And then I used the bumblebee. It's not bumblebee. Let me just check. Hold on. Actually, is it the So Saffron? Yes, it's So Saffron. And I doubled up on the layering circles for my thank you sentiment. And then put the same flowers. And then just stamp some flowers on the inside. And then for the last one, I think this one is called, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's an eclipse card. If you can just make out that it says just want to say, and then I put the thank you down here. So it's really hard to see. It's very subtle, and on the camera it's subtle. But right here in front of me, I can see the words, and it is popped up from the front of the card. And then on the inside, I just stamped the flowers along the bottom. So let's get started. I hope everybody's doing good. It's been crazy here. Still going through the stove saga. I had ordered a stove. I canceled the stove. And then I purchased a new stove. I'm just going to check the size of this. And the 5 1/4. All right, it was just off a little bit. Purchased another stove. The stove is in. But it has to be converted to propane because I have a propane stove. So they have to get a converter kit. Unfortunately, the conversion kit will not be in until January 23rd. So I have been without a stove since the end of September. But thankfully, I think I did find a converter kit today. I actually called General Electric straightforward and asked, and they're supposed to be overnighting me the conversion kit, so we'll see. All right, so I'm going to start with a basic white layer, and this is 8.5 by 5.5, and I scored it at 4.25. And then we are going to layer with So Saffron, and this is also 5.5 by 4 1/8. Doing it a little different tonight, so it's just going to have a little white on the ends, and I'll probably have to trim this up. And then we have a 5.5 by 3 7/8, and we're going to layer that down. And I'm going to pop down here a little bit. Hey, Margaret, how are you, honey? Yeah, it is insane. Hi, Rita. Rita from Kentucky. So it's going to go from top to bottom, and then we're just going to have our layers. And then we're going to put down our embossed layer. Okay. Again, we've mentioned this before. When you do your embossing, just check to make sure that your words are facing the right direction. I usually go with harvest. I don't know if you can see it. It's right here. So I know the layer is right side up. Or you can read it. It's legible. So I'm going to glue these layers because I want to make sure that they are even on the short end. So I'm just going to hold it up, and I'm going to make sure that this is on here straight, and the edge is right on it. Okay. So you can see that we do have a little bit of the orange showing here, so I'm going to have to trim that off because I want it to go right to the edge on our basic white layer. So now we're going to take the pumpkin pie and we're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to hold it up and I'm going to push my layers down. I want to make sure that it's on here centered. I guess the only thing that did come out good is I also purchased a washer and dryer, and that's coming Sunday, so that's exciting. Okay, so now same thing with this. I'm just going to center it on here, making sure I have about the same white amount of white space on each side. That's why I like doing my glue. And we're just going to press that down, make sure it's even and flush with the end. Now I'm just going to trim this off. So just give me 1 second. Five and a half. Sorry about that. Going through 1, 2, 3, 4 layers. My cutter just doesn't want to do it. Okay, so now we have the front of our card all set and ready to go. So I'm going to grab a piece of scrap, and I'm going to grab my pumpkin pie, my old olive, and my bumblebee, and my stamp. Now we're going to use the stamp that's the bunch of flowers. And what I did is using my bumblebee. Let me get me some room here. I just want to pull this out. Okay. We're going to ink this up. I'm not going to worry too much about the end, but I want those flowers to be good. And we're going to stamp that up. Okay, so we have our flowers. Just going to clean off my stamp. Yeah, the colors look really nice. Different, definitely fall colors. Okay, so now we have that part of our flower. And what I did was, let's grab this part 2, which is this little stamp here, and the pumpkin pie. And we're going to ink this up, and we're going to add this to the flowers. Now, there's no set way to do it. I just line it up the best I can. It's got a little notch in the bottom. So I'm just going to put that over where the stem is, and then just give these a quick stamp. Okay, so the flowers are done. So now what I want to do is take the coordinating dies, and I want to die cut this flower out. And when you do that, this is what we're left with. So I cut 2 out already. Okay. Then I want to take the same stamp again, and I'm going to take some old olive. And again, I just want to focus on the leaf, the stem, and these little pieces here. I'm just going to do the bottom of the stamp, and we're going to just give that a good stamp. We're going to take that same die, and we're going to line it up. You're going to want to line up the stem at the bottom of this die, run it through, and then you're stuck with the stem and all the bottom of the flower. Okay? So now that we have these pieces, what I want to do is I'm going to cut the flowers off. So we're going to just trim this bottom piece right off. That we don't need. And we're going to do the same thing to the other flower. We just want these flower heads. Just straighten that out a little bit. Okay, so now we have our 2 flowers. And then we're going to pull in our stem, and we're going to cut it off at the flower. And we're just going to cut these right off. And we're going to do the same thing to the second one. So now we'll have 4 pieces to add to the front of our card. Now, if you didn't want to fussy cut and do it twice, you could always use your Stampin' Right markers and color in the flowers one color, and then color in the stem another color. Stamp the whole piece. Okay, you could do it that way too. But this way it's going to give the front of my card a little bit more dimension. Let's pull out that frame and our sentiment. Thank you with all my heart. Just going to get that out of the way a second. And we want to ink this up really good. I think I need to refill my ink pads. I haven't done it yet, so I'm sure they do need refills. And just get this on here. Don't rock it, Jane. And stamp away. So now we have our sentiment. Okay, let's pull in our card. Grab some dimensionals. We're going to pop this sentiment up right in the center of this card. Now, we don't have to worry about anything getting tucked under. So I can spread these out a little bit. And grab my pokey tool. And we're just going to put this in the center of the card. Just see if it's straight, and it's not. Okay, so there we have our sentiment on the center. Hey, Kathy. I almost forgot it was Thursday, so don't feel bad. It's been one of those days. All right, so now let's take care of these flowers. Let me just grab a different pair of scissors here. So my scissors don't get sticky. I'm just going to cut the edge and use the edge of this. So what we want to do is we're going to first grab our stem and we're going to add some glue. I don't want it to ooze out, so I'm just going to put a little bit. And I'm going to use this little corner right here as a guide. And we're going to just glue that right down to the front of the card. Pick up our flowers. Just going to eyeball. I don't want to cover my sentiment, but I want this flower to hit that stem. Okay. So we're going to put dimensionals on this flower. Whoops. And this flower, because that's going to be on, because we popped up our sentiment, so we want to pop it up to the same level. And then we're going to add a little bit of glue to this flower here. This way, it'll stay down and be adhered right to our sentiment. I got a little spot right there. There we go. All right, so I don't want to cover up my sentiment. So I'll lay that right about there. So there's your first flower. Now we're going to do the same thing to this bottom corner. We're going to adhere this right to that corner. Using the corner as my guide again. I don't want this off the edges. Grab our second flower. We want it to hit that stem, right? So we're going to put dimensionals again on the two flowers. Let's get these papers off. And we want to add some glue right to the tip of this flower. And we can line it up and set it down. We're going to use some pale papaya ribbon and tie a bow. Let me just give this a little snip. So how's the weather like by everybody? It seems like fall is here because the leaves have been falling like crazy. Oh my gosh. But the temperature has been really warm. Taking the dog out in the morning, I've been wearing short sleeves. So it's crazy warm. Okay, so let's just get these tails. Just going to trim them down. Grab a glue dot. I know, I think Texas is supposed to have bad weather tonight. All right, we're going to stick this right about there. I want to make sure we have the right side facing out on my ribbon. 70s in the city. Oh, hi, Kathy. Thank you. All right, so I'm using the champagne rhinestones, and we're going to take a large one and we're going to stick it right over here to highlight our sentiment. I'm going to use a medium one, and we'll put it down here right between the tail of the ribbon. And then we'll use a smaller one down here below this flower, and then a small one up here by this flower. And there is the front of our first card. Just quick and easy, right? A little bit of stamping, fussy cutting. Now for the inside, we use the large flower. So what I did, we're just going to do the same thing with the large flower. There is a die for this, so you don't have to worry about fussy cutting. And we're going to use our bumblebee. And we're going to give that a good stamp. Okay? Then we're going to grab the inside, or the second step to this stamp. Pull our pumpkin pie. Now you'll notice this is pretty dark right now. It will lighten up as it dries. And then we're just going to grab this and come in here, line it up. Doesn't have to be perfect. And stamp it with pumpkin pie. Like I said, this stamp does have a die. So you would run it through. And here is our flower. And then we're going to do the same thing with the leaf stamp, an old olive. When you stamp it, it does have its own die. So you run it through and we have our leaves. Okay, so let's put this aside. Grab our insides. We got a 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, 5 1/4 by 4. You don't have to worry about the dimensions. I will have a PDF for you tomorrow. So we're going to adhere this right to the corner. I'm going to keep my glue on the outside of this leaf so I can pull or tuck the flower under. Okay, so we're just going to stick this right here in the corner. We don't want to use dimensionals because we're on the inside of our card. And then we're just going to try to hit those edges. And let's just pick this up just a little bit and push it under and glue that down. Grab our pumpkin pie. I'm not going to glue the white layer down. Let's use some seal. I was going to say, oh no, it's running out. And just center this. Make sure it's down. Add our glue. Grab our card. And then this is our inside. All right. So there is our first thank you card. I'm using the art gallery stamp set. It's not new to this catalog, so the dies, which are called Floral Gallery, it's no longer a bundle. You would have to buy the stamp set separate from the dies, but this is the stamp set here. So this is 2-step, and then here's the second step to these flowers. I also used it on this one too. You know, it doesn't line up completely, but it is a nice two-tone flower. So there we go for card number 1. Thank you. All right, let's go to card number 2. We'll do this one here. We're going to leave the eclipse for the last because it's a little bit more involved. So again, we're going with the 8.5 by 5.5. Scored it 4 1/4. Give that a good crease. And this time, we're going to use it portrait. Landscape. I just want to check the size again. I must have cut them off. Just a little tiny bit. Okay. Then we're going to layer it with a piece of pumpkin pie. And let's see, what did I cut this one? 5 1/4 by 4. So I wanted a little bit larger white. So we're going to just adhere that down to the front of the card. And then I did a 5 1/8 by 4 1/8. Nope, by 3 7/8. Sorry about that. Ran it through with the time-worn type 3D embossing folder. You want to make sure you have it in the right direction. Here's my word harvest. I don't know if you can see that. That's what I go by. So we're just going to layer these together. Make sure it's centered. And the same thing with the pumpkin pie. Okay, so there's our card base. Quick and easy. Thank you, Jean. And then, like I said, I die cut the layering circles. The larger one is 2 7/8. The next one is 2 1/2. And then I have the basic white layering circle, and it's 2 3/8. Now, the reason I did a second circle is because this one was actually, I thought it was too small for the front. I wanted the larger one, and then when I added this white circle, I just felt there was too much space along the edge. So if I cut that next one in line, it just filled it up just a little bit so it didn't look so lost. That's really why I did it. So we're going to take this circle and we are going to pop it up onto the front of the card. And I'm going to leave my dimensionals towards the center because we do have a few things that we want to tuck under. Okay, so looking at this card, the flowers I feel are too closer to the right than they should be. So for tonight's card, I'm just going to take this circle and move it over a little bit to even out the card. Okay, so we're just going to move just a little tiny bit, probably a half an inch, not even. So there is our first circle popped up. While we're working on the circles, let's pull in our basic white. And I'm actually going to stamp the sentiment in Memento. Let me grab it right here. Just a teeny little, I did clean my blocks, a teeny little thank you. And I'm just going to make sure there's no fuzz on here. So let me just clean it off a little bit. And ink it up. And we want it to go towards the right hand side and centered as best you can. Just like that. Grab our smaller circle and we're going to add just a little glue. You don't really want to see it through the front. We're just going to line this up on this little circle, the scalloped. Now that we have our sentiment, we can add it to the front of our card. So let's get this on. You're going to want to make sure your thank you is even now. And I think that is good. We just want to move this over here. Okay. So there's our thank you. Aw, thanks, Kathy. All right. So what I did for this card is exactly the same thing I did for the other card. So you don't have to watch it all over again. I did do it in the bumblebee and pumpkin pie, and then I did cut it out in old olive. Okay, so I did 2, and then I did 2 again with the stems. I also did the large leaf and stem, and the smaller flower, this one right here. This one also comes with a die, so it was easy, just stamp and die cut it out. Okay, so this is what we're left with. Let's grab those scissors, little bit of cutting again. I want these pieces off. I just want the flowers. So we're just gonna fussy cut that off. One's gonna go up here. Let's fussy cut this second one off. Whoops. This one's gonna go down here. This little flower, I figured I'd put right in the center. And then for these, I want the leaf, and I want this little piece here, but we don't need this inside piece. Now, if you want, I think what I did, and I cut that piece off, and then just trimmed the leaf down so I have something to tuck under, okay? So we're going to just take this piece off. And then let's get this leaf off. And I'm again, gosh, who the heck is that outside? Leaving that long piece so I have something to tuck under. Then for this one, I just want one of these larger leaves just for a little bit more contrast, okay? And then we can now design our card. I'm going to pop up and glue again. Here they are. I was going to say if I could find my dimensionals. So we want this to lay like this. So let's put a dimensional here because this is popped up. And we'll add some glue here. We can just add this right to, I'll hold that down for a second. Now that that is in place, the glue, when you want it to dry, never does. We're going to add some glue to this piece. Let's just tuck it under right about there. There we go. Okay. Let's grab the other piece. We're going to put that down here at the bottom. So I want to put it dimensional. I don't know who the heck must be. I don't know what neighbor that is. Can you hear that car? Holy smokes. It's supposed to be like 15 miles through this neighborhood. 15 miles per hour. All right, so let's stick this right about here. I'm going to just hold that down for a second. And then we have our last little flower. And this one we're going to, again, we're going to pop it up. But we're going to pop it up onto the circles. So this card has a little bit more dimension. Cut off another one. So we'll just add this one right to the center. And I want to just fill in this hole here. Just like that. Okay. So there are our flowers. So let's finish tucking in our greenery. Just add some glue and we're just going to tuck. We want to make sure it stays and does not go over the edge of the card. We'll take one of these smaller ones and add some glue. I'm going to stick it right inside that hole. Just like that. Let's grab another smaller one. And we'll stick it under this flower here. We know we have those dimensionals there, so let me see if I can, there we go. Squeeze it right through those dimensionals. And then I'm just going to take this larger one and we're going to stick it right over here just to fill in some space. All right. And let's grab our ribbon. Whew, it's warm in here tonight. What I do with my, oh, here they are. So we'll cut off a piece of ribbon and then just tie our bow. Hopefully I didn't cut it too short. Nope, not bad. Although my fingers are not working that well today. So I said, I told you about my stove, and I've been working, I have to say, I've been working on my laundry room, painting, putting a new floor down for the last few months. I've been trying to get it finished. Just can't seem to get it finished because Bill's been sick and he's still not feeling good and he's been in the hospital. So the new washer and dryer is coming on Sunday. So I don't have a choice now. I have to finish that room. So you know what I'll be doing the next 2 days in between. All right. So we want to add our bow. So let's grab a glue dot, and I'm going to put it right here under that flower that we popped up. It's really hot in here. My glue dots are melty. And we're going to stick that bow right there. Let's twist it a little bit so we can see our thank you. Grab those champagne rhinestones, and we're going to put a medium right about here, and then we're going to stick some small ones just to highlight the front of the card. And we'll do one more here. Just another quick and easy. And you'll notice it is a little bit closer to the left-hand side, so it looks a little bit more centered. Okay, now for the inside, just really quick. Let's see, here they are. Oh, no, that's not it. What did I do? Here they are. So again, we have a 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. We're going to get our pad and our layer. Let's grab that flower, and we have it right here. So what I want to do is grab my bumblebee. Let me just get that out of the way. And I want to just try to focus on these 3 flowers. I know I'm going to go over, and that's okay. Pull my layer in, and I just want to get these flowers in here without this sprig. So we're just going to make sure I don't get it and put the flowers right in the corner. And I missed that one little piece right there. So let's grab some bumblebee, and we can fill in these flowers with the second stamp. That's what's going to save that one that I misstamped. We're going to keep it up in the right-hand corner. So let's add some seal. Uh-oh. I thought it was stuck. When I don't break it off right, I keep forgetting about the way to use that. I'm so used to just doing it so quick. All right. So let's pull in our card. Now we can glue this into the center of our card. Thanks, Kathy. Thanks, Margaret. Hey, Karen. Horses, dogs, and cats all cooperated. Isn't that nice when that happens? Okay, so there is card number 2. Just quick and easy, right? Pretty fall colors. All right, now let's work on the last card. And it is the eclipse. I think that's what it's called. I saw it and thought it was just so pretty. So we are going to start again with a basic white layer. And this one is 11 by 4 1/4, and it's scored at 5 1/2. And we're going to work on portrait. Then I have a layer of So Saffron, 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. Then I have a layer of pumpkin pie, 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, correct. And then basic white, 5 by 3 3/4. And that's the wrong one. Let me just make sure. That is not right. 3 7/8. 5 1/8. Let me just check this real quick because I must have measured wrong. 3 3/4 by 5. Let me just recut this. Ah, way off. 3 3/4. All right, that's better. I was way off. Okay, so these are our 3 layers. So let's get these 2 on the front of the card. That's the easiest part. So we're just going to get these layered on. Make sure it's on there even. Pull in our card base. Make sure it's opening the right way. This time we have a little bit of white showing. All right. So there's our card base. Now we'll pull in our basic white layer. And I'm going to pull in my silicone mat again because we're using the photopolymer stamps. And I'm just going to clean off this stamp really good. Because we've used the green, we've used the bumblebee, and I just want to make sure it's clean. All right. So we're using this stamp set here, this stamp here, and we're also using this one, the smaller of the single flower heads. And we're going to pull in our bumblebee. Now what we want to do is just, I'm not using any green on this card. As you can see, I use no green. So we're just going to ink up. And let's place this one right about here. So this will be the main image on the front of the card. Then we're going to use this smaller flower as a fill. So let's put one here. We'll put one here. Ink up. And we'll put one here. Just want to fill in a little bit of space on the front of this card. Let's pull in our pumpkin. And here's step 2. We're going to ink this up, and we are going to stamp this in the centers of each of these flowers. I probably should line them up a little better. But the 2-step for this is very forgiving. So we're just going to add these to the centers. Okay, so we have the front of our card is stamped. Quick and easy, right? Then what you want to do is we're going to take the die, just want to say, and you'll notice that it is not, it's all the words are at an angle. So you want to make sure that when you turn it over to put it on your card, we're going to watch this line right here, because we know that looking at the image, the die here, these letters are in a straight line. So we would guide it by this, decide where you want to put it, and I put it right about there because I want to put my thank you under here, right? You're going to run it through. Aw, thank you. Now I can't see. Thank you for saying the cards are beautiful. I like this stamp set too. Oh, how nice. Note cards as gifts. That's really nice. Well, if it helps you any, like I said, I'll have the dimensions for you tomorrow. But thank you for such a nice thing. That's such a nice thing to say. I appreciate it so much. Okay, so you're going to run it through your cut and emboss machine. And I did already do it. Okay, and the reason, and look at how crazy this is. Here's my just, and here's little tiny pieces. So when you pull these out, you want to save, like for just, we want to save this little piece in here. And we want to save the pieces for the 2 in the zero, in the O. And then in the word say, we want to save the inside of the A and this little piece in the Y. And then when you pull out the want, we want the, and here it is right here, it just fell out. We want to keep the inside of that A. Okay, so here is our piece that we just beautifully stamped, and we cut the inside out. Okay, we can bring our card back in, make sure it's opening up the correct way, and now I'm going to use just a little bit of glue. I don't really like using glue on the basic white, but for this we really need to. So I'm just going around the letters. I'm not going to worry about the words itself right now. And we want to lay this down on the front of our card. Make sure it's on there even. Just like that. All right. So now we have our card almost finished. Sorry, needed to get a drink. Now that it's glued down, I'm going to grab just a scrap piece of paper, and I'm going to add a little bit of glue, and see all these little pieces that are sticking up. I'm just going to stick this under, put a little bit of glue there, and stick it down. So this way it's not going to catch. I'm going to have to do that one again. Little bit of glue. Whoops. Now my fingers are sticky. Just stick it under there. All right, so when we get working, if we see anything sticking up again, we can take care of it. I'm going to pull in this piece of scrap. I'm going to put a little bit of glue here. And I have my just. Let me get my picky tool. Because I have, like I said, my little pieces are sitting right here in this bowl. I didn't want to lose them. And we're going to just pull this just in for a second. Okay, it's going to go right there. But you'll notice that the top of the J was cut out, and that would go, that's the wrong direction. So it's got to go in this direction. Okay, so this little piece needs a little bit of a dimensional. This is why I saved all my little pieces. Let me just grab another pair of scissors. So we're going to cut just a teeny tiny dimensional. Because we need that piece of the J popped up. Oops, don't stick. And I'm all thumbs, so this is like really putting a puzzle together. And I'm sure there's probably an easier way to do it, but this is how I found it to be the easiest for me. All right, so now that we have that dimensional on here, is that the way? Yep. So we're going to stick it back in that spot that we die cut it out of. I'm just going to move it around. So here is the top of our J. Now in this part of the J, we have this little tiny piece, and I am just going to grab a bit of glue. Oops, I'm going to put some here too, because I don't want it to get lost here. We want that to fit right where that J is. There we go. All right, so there's that inside. I don't know if you can see that. Let me pull this up. So there's that little tiny piece inside the J. Now to save time so you don't have to sit here while I did all of these crazy dimensionals, I just cut tiny little strips of from the edges of the dimensionals and added it to the back of the words. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to fit this back in where we cut them out. But instead of it laying flat against the card, it's popped up. So now you can see there's the just, okay? Very subtle. Now we want to do the same thing. Let's get this in here. I think this goes. So this is the inside of the A. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue. Now, if you wanted to bring more attention to it, you can leave it so you can see the background paper. I just like it where it's a little bit more subtle. So we're just going to sit this in here, put that piece back in, just like that. Again, I put on the dimensionals so you wouldn't have to see me fumbling around. So we're going to pop up the want. So you just want to, again, get it in there. Oops. Alarm. If you're still watching, you don't have to message Bill. He's in bed. All right, so there's want. And again, very subtle, but just so pretty, isn't it? Now we have our two. And again, I have the letter O's inside still there. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue. And my dimensional might be running over the edge. I'm going to have to check on that. So let's just get this O in there. Line it up a little bit. See if I'm still on camera. And I'm just going to poke that right down and through. Okay, just those little pieces. And then get our word to. Just see, no, just a little bit right here. I can see the dimensional. Let's just trim that. Whoops. Trim that off. And stick it right back in. And one more time with the word say. We're going to grab some glue. You can see I have my dimensionals on already. Let's just fit that in there. Hold it in place. And then again, fit it right into that space. Oops. All right, so, oh, my Y, here it is right here. This is that little tiny piece for the Y. How crazy is that? Let me get a little bit of glue. This is going to be... See, it was a little easier making the original card because I put the dimensionals on after I glued these in. Because I was able to just fuss around with it being here with not anybody watching. All right, so there we go. All right, now in this set, let me get rid of this. There is also a, looks like a postage stamp shape for our sentiment. So we're going to grab our thank you stamp. This time we're going to stamp it in, we're going to stamp it in Bumblebee. So let's ink it up. Let's just put it on here so we get a good stamp. And I'm going to go a little bit closer to the right so we can add a gem to the end. And let's want to make sure it is not going to go over the edge. Add these little guys to the back. I feel like I'm all thumbs tonight. Does anybody ever feel like that? And we're going to just add this right to the center of the card. So I don't know if anybody saw my post today, but Sheba went to the vet And last month when we went, she was 20.5 pounds and 8 weeks old. This week, I'm looking for my rhinestones as I'm talking to you. This week, we had our vet appointment, doctor appointment. And she weighed 29.2 pounds. Oh my gosh, she is going to be a horse. Oh, here they are. I don't know. She's so strong now. I don't know how I'm ever going to be able to walk her. All right, so let's get some gems on here. That's a small one. Let's put a large one right here in the center. We'll grab a medium one, and we're going to add that. Let's add it right about here. And one more. Let's do this size. We'll put it right there. So there is a really, thanks, Margaret. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, she's bigger than Leora. I can't believe she weighs almost 30 pounds. That's crazy. All right. So let's go to the inside of this card. I just did something quick and easy. I figured we spent so much time on the front of this card. Let's not go too nuts on the inside. So we're going to use this smaller or the medium sized flower. And we're going to ink it up, and we're just going to stamp 1, tilt it, and 2, and 3. Stamp number 2, we're just going to fill in. Like that. Pull in our base. Let's get some seal on here. Layer it down. So like I said, these are perfect thank you cards. If you have birthdays in October, November, August, September even, perfect colors for fall birthdays, anniversaries. Thank you. Okay. Oh shoot, look what I did. I must have ink on my hand. So there we go. There's that one. Here's this one. And then our third thank you. Let's move that over. There we go. Pretty fall flowers to give thanks. And I just wanted to tell everybody how much I appreciate you. Because I've had such a great year and I just promoted to Silver Elite. I'm going to do something different for tonight's video. If you make a purchase between now and Sunday night, you will get these cards as a make and take. And I will also send you a free pack of an embellishment of sorts. I'm not sure what embellishment, maybe pearls or something new like the iridescent pearls, but I'll send them with the your make and takes. So use the host code on the screen, place an order between now and Sunday evening, and as a thank you to being so loyal and sticking with me throughout the year, I'd like to give you something in return. So you'll get the make and takes and a free package of gems. So thanks for joining me. Thanks, Sheila. Thanks, Margaret. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, Karen. I'll see you guys on Saturday for Simple Saturday. And we'll talk some more. Thanks, Stu. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Have a great night. Hey, Dawn, I didn't even see you come in. I'm sorry, honey. So have a great night, and I'll talk to everybody soon. Thanks, Kathy. Bye-bye.